Zen is a school of Mahayana Buddhism that originated in China during the Tang dynasty as Chan Buddhism. It was strongly influenced by Taoism and developed as a distinguished school of Chinese Buddhism. From China, Chan Buddhism spread south to Vietnam, northeast to Korea and east to Japan, where it became known as Japanese Zen. Zen emphasizes rigorous self-control, meditation practice, insight into Buddha nature, and the personal expression of this insight in daily life, especially for the benefit of others. As such, it emphasizes mere knowledge of sutras and doctrine and favors direct understanding through zazen and interaction with an accomplished teacher. The teachings of Zen include various sources of Mahayana thought, especially Yogacara, the Tathagata Sutras and the Wine School, with their emphasis on Buddha nature, totality, and a bodhisattva ideal. The Prajnaparamita literature and, to a lesser extent, Madhyamaka have also been influential in the shaping of the paradoxical language of the Zen tradition. Etymology. The word Zen is derived from the Japanese pronunciation of the Middle Chinese word, which in turn is derived from the Sanskrit word dhyana, which can be approximately translated as absorption or meditative state. Zen practice. Central to Zen is the practice of dhyana or meditation. Observing the breath during sitting meditation, practitioners usually assume a position such as the lotus position, half lotus, Burmese, or Caesar postures, using the dhyana mudra. To regulate the mind, awareness is directed towards counting or watching the breath by bringing that awareness to the energy center below the navel. Often, a square or round cushion placed on a padded mat is used to sit on. In some other cases, a chair may be used. This practice may simply be called sitting dhyana, which is suo-chan in Chinese, and zazen in Japanese. Observing the mind. In the Soto school of Zen, meditation with no objects, anchors, or content is the primary form of practice. The meditator strives to be aware of the stream of thoughts, allowing them to arise and pass away without interference. Considerable textual, philosophical, and phenomenological justification of this practice can be found throughout Dogen's Shobo Genzo, as for example in the Principles of Zazen, and the universally recommended instructions for Zazen. In the Japanese language, this practice is called shikanthaza. Intensive group meditation. Intensive group meditation may be practiced occasionally in some temples. In the Japanese language, this practice is called session. While the daily routine may require monks to meditate for several hours each day, during the intensive period they devote themselves almost exclusively to the practice of sitting meditation. The numerous 30 to 50-minute long meditation periods are interwoven with rest breaks, meals, and short periods of work that are performed with the same mindfulness. Nightly sleep is kept to 7 hours or less. In modern Buddhist practice in Japan, Taiwan, and the West, lay students often attend these intensive practice sessions, which are typically 1, 3, 5, or 7 days in length. These are held at many Zen centers, especially in commemoration of the Buddha's attainment of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. One distinctive aspect of Zen meditation in groups is the use of a kyosaku, a flat, wooden slat used to strike meditators with the intention of keeping them focused and awake. Insight. Koan practice. At the beginning of the Song dynasty, practice with the koan method became popular, whereas others practiced silent illumination. Quote, "This became the source of some differences in practice between the Linji and Keodong schools." A koan, literally public case, is a story, a dialogue, describing an interaction between a Zen master and a student. These anecdotes give a demonstration of the master's insight. Koans emphasize the non-conceptual insight that the Buddhist teachings are pointing to. Koans can be used to provoke the great doubt and test a student's progress in Zen practice. Koan inquiry may be practiced during Zazen, Kinhin, and throughout all the activities of daily life. Koan practice is particularly emphasized by the Japanese Rinzai school, but it also occurs in other schools or branches of Zen depending on the teaching line. The Zen student's mastery of a given koan is presented to the teacher in a private interview, Daisen, or Sanzen. While there is no unique answer to a koan, practitioners are expected to demonstrate their understanding of the koan and of Zen through the responses. The teacher may approve or disapprove of the answer and guide the student in the right direction. The interaction with his Zen teacher is central in Zen, but makes Zen practice, at least in the West, also vulnerable to misunderstanding and exploitation. Zen chanting and liturgy. A practice in many Zen monasteries and centers is a daily liturgy service. Practitioners chant major sutras such as the Heart Sutra, Chapter 25 of the Lotus Sutra, Song of the Precious Mirror Samadhi, the Nilakana Dharani, and other minor mantras. The Butsu Dam is the altar in a monastery where offerings are made to the images of the Buddha or Bodhisattvas. The same term is also used in Japanese homes for the altar where one prays to and communicates with deceased family members. As such, reciting liturgy in Zen can be seen as a means to connect with the bodhisattvas of the past. Liturgy is often used during funerals, memorials, and other special events as means to invoke the aid of supernatural powers. Chanting usually centers on major bodhisattvas like Avalokitesvara and Manjushri. According to Mahayana Buddhism, bodhisattvas are beings who have taken vows to remain in samsara to help all beings achieve liberation from it. Since the Zen practitioner's aim is to walk the bodhisattva path, chanting can be used as a means to connect with these beings and realize this ideal within oneself. Lay services. Though in Western Zen the emphasis is on Zen meditation and the application of Zen teachings in daily life, Japanese Zen also serves a function in public religion. Funerals play an important role as a point of contact between the monks and the laity. Statistics published by the Soto School state that 80% of Soto laymen visit the temple only for reasons having to do with funerals and death. 17% visit for spiritual reasons and 3% visit a Zen priest at a time of personal trouble or crisis. Zen teachings. Though Zen narrative states that it is a special transmission outside scriptures, which did not stand upon words, Zen does have a rich doctrinal background, which is firmly grounded in the Buddhist tradition. It was thoroughly influenced by the Chinese understanding of Yogacara and the Buddha nature doctrine. Zen integrates both Yogacara and Madhyamaka, and the influence of Madhyamaka can be discerned in the stress on non-conceptual insight and the paradoxical language of the koans. Most essential are the most fundamental teaching that we are already originally enlightened, and a bodhisattva ideal, which supplements insight with karuna, compassion with all sentient beings. To point out essential Zen teachings is almost impossible, given the variety of schools, the extended history of 1,500 years, and the emphasis on suchness, reality just as it is, which has to be expressed in daily life, not in words. But common to most schools and teachings is this emphasis on suchness and Buddha nature, the bodhisattva ideal, and the priority of Zazen. Zen teachings can be likened to the finger pointing at the moon. Zen teachings point to the moon, awakening, a realization of the unimpeded interpenetration of the Dharma Dhatu. But the Zen tradition also warns against taking its teachings, the pointing finger, to be this insight itself. The various traditions lay various emphases in the teachings and practices. There are two different ways of understanding and actually practicing Zen. These two different ways are termed in Chinese pen Penshui and Shichui respectively. The term Penshui refers to the belief that one's mind is from the beginning of time fully enlightened, while Shichui refers to the belief that at some point in time we pass from imprisonment in ignorance and delusion to a true vision of Zen realization. Our enlightenment is timeless, yet our realization of it occurs in time. Quote, according to this belief, experiencing a moment of awakening in this life is of central importance. Rinzai. The Rinzai school is the Japanese lineage of the Chinese Linji school, which was founded during the Tang dynasty by Linji Yizhuan. The Rinzai school emphasizes Kensho, insight into one's true nature. This is followed by so-called post-satori practice, further practice to attain Buddhahood. Other Zen teachers have also expressed sudden insight followed by gradual cultivation. Jinul, a 12th century Korean Seon master, followed Zongmi, and also emphasized that insight into our true nature is sudden, but is to be followed by practice to ripen the insight and attain full Buddhahood. This is also the standpoint of the contemporary Sanbo Kyodan, according to whom Kensho is at the start of the path to full enlightenment. To attain this primary insight and to deepen it, zazen and koan study is deemed essential. This trajectory of initial insight followed by a gradual deepening and ripening is expressed by Linji in his 3 mysterious gates and Hakuon, Ekaku's 4 ways of knowing. Another example of depiction of stages on the path of the 10 bulls, which detail the steps on the path. Soto. Soto is the Japanese line of the Chinese Kaya-dong school, which was founded during the Tang dynasty by Dongshan Liangji. The Soto school has de-emphasized koans since Hento Sokachu, and instead emphasized Shikanthaza. Dogen, the founder of Soto in Japan, emphasized that practice and awakening cannot be separated. By practicing Shikanthaza, attainment and Buddhahood are already being expressed. For Dogen, zazen or Shikanthaza is the essence of Buddhist practice. Gradual cultivation was also recognized by Dongshan Liangji. Sanbo Kyodan. The Sanbo Kyodan combines Soto and Rinzai teachings. It is a Japanese lay organization, which is highly influential in the West through the work of Hakuin Yasutani, Philip Capello, Yamada Kun, and Taisen Maizumi. Yasutani mentions 3 goals of Zen: development of concentration, awakening, and realization of Zen in daily life. Kensho is stressed, but also post-satori practice. Zen scripture. The role of scripture in Zen, contrary to the popular image, literature does play a role in the Zen training. Zen is deeply rooted in the teachings and doctrines of Mahayana Buddhism. Unsui Zen monks are expected to become familiar with the classics of the Zen canon. A review of the early historical documents and literature of early Zen masters clearly reveals that they were well versed in numerous Mahayana Buddhist sutras, including Madhyamaka. Nevertheless, Zen is often pictured as anti-intellectual. This picture of Zen emerged during the Song dynasty, when Chan became the dominant form of Buddhism in China, and gained great popularity among the educated and literary classes of Chinese society. The use of koans, which are highly stylized literary texts, reflects this popularity among the higher classes. The famous saying, "Do not establish words and letters," attributed in this period to Bodhidharma, was taken not as a denial of the recorded words of the Buddha or the doctrinal elaborations by learned monks, but as a warning to those who had become confused about the relationship between Buddhist teaching as a guide to the truth and mistook it for the truth itself. What the Zen tradition emphasizes is that the enlightenment of the Buddha came not through conceptualization, but rather through direct insight. But direct insight has to be supported by study and understanding of the Buddhist teachings and texts. Intellectual understanding without practice is called Yakko Zen, wild fox Zen, but one who has only experience without intellectual understanding is a Zen-tema, Zen devil. Grounding Chan in scripture. The early Buddhist schools in China were each based on a specific sutra. At the beginning of the Tang dynasty, by the time of the fifth patriarch Hongren, the Zen school became established as a separate school of Buddhism. It had to develop a doctrinal tradition of its own to ascertain its position, and to ground its teachings in a specific sutra. Various sutras were used for this, even before the time of Hongren. The Rimaladevi Sutra, Awakening of Faith, the Lankavatara Sutra, the Diamond Sutra, the Platform Sutra. None of these sutras was decisive though, since the school drew inspiration from a variety of sources. Subsequently, the Zen tradition produced a rich corpuses of written literature which has become a part of its practice and teaching. Other influential sutras of the Vimalakirti Sutra, Avatamsaka Sutra, the Shurangama Sutra, and the Mahaparinirvana Sutra. Zen literature. The Zen tradition developed a rich textual tradition, based on the interpretation of the Buddhist teachings and the recorded sayings of Zen masters. Important texts are the Platform Sutra, attributed to Huineng, the Chan transmission records, Tang Lu, such as the records of the transmission of the Lamb, compiled by Tao Yun and published in 1004, the Yulu genre consisting of the recorded sayings of the masters, and the encounter dialogues, the Koan collections, such as the Gateless Gate and the Blue Cliff Record, and Dogen's Shobo Genzo. Zen organization and institutions. Religion is not only an individual matter, but also a collective endeavor. Though individual experience and the iconoclastic picture of Zen are emphasized in the Western world, the Zen tradition is maintained and transferred by a high degree of institutionalization and hierarchy. In Japan, modernity has led to criticism of the formal system and the commencement of lay-oriented Zen schools such as the Sanbo Kyodan and the Ningen Zen Kyodan. How to organize the continuity of the Zen tradition in the West, constraining charismatic authority and the derailment it may bring on the one hand, and maintaining the legitimacy and authority by limiting the number of authorized teachers on the other hand, is a challenge for the developing Zen communities in the West. Zen narratives. The Chan of the Tang dynasty, especially that of Mizui and Linji with its emphasis on shock techniques, in retrospect was seen as a golden age of Chan. This picture has gained great popularity in the West in the 20th century, especially due to the influence of D.T. Suzuki, and further popularized by Hakun Yasutani and the Sanbo Kyodan. This picture has been challenged and complemented since the 1970s by modern scientific research on Zen. Modern scientific research on the history of Zen discerns three main narratives concerning Zen: its history and its teachings. Traditional Zen narrative, Buddhist modernism, historical and cultural criticism. An external narrative is non-dualism, which claims Zen to be a token of a universal non-dualist essence of religions.